From the Abraham Accords to Tehran is a new regional order taking shape. Major geopolitical transformations are rarely recognized while they are unfolding. They seldom begin with a single defining event, but emerge through a series of developments that initially appear unrelated: a diplomatic agreement, a terrorist attack, a war, or a new trade corridor. Only later does it become clear that these events were part of a deeper historical shift. The Middle East may now be experiencing such a moment. Since the Abraham Accords were signed in 2020, the region has undergone remarkable change. The normalization of relations between Israel and several Arab states, Hamas's October 7th attack, the wars in Gaza and Lebanon, the direct military confrontation between Israel and Iran, subsequent US involvement, new trade corridors bypassing Iran, and an expanding American military presence. Each event has its own explanation, yet viewed together, they raise a more important question. Rather than asking whether they are part of a single master plan, a claim unsupported by public evidence, we should ask whether they are collectively moving the region in the same strategic direction. From this perspective, the Abraham Accords represented more than diplomatic normalization. They marked the beginning of a new regional security architecture in which cooperation on security, technology, energy, and trade gradually replaced the traditional Arab-Israeli divide as the region's organizing principle. Ironically, Hamas's October 7th attack may have accelerated that transformation. Beyond triggering the war in Gaza, it shifted Israeli and American attention from individual conflicts toward the broader structures that enabled them. Since then, nearly every element of Iran's regional network has come under pressure. Hamas has been severely weakened. Hezbollah faces unprecedented military and political challenges. Iran's influence in Syria and Iraq has diminished, while the Houthis have come under growing regional and military pressure following their attacks on international shipping. Individually, none of these developments proves the existence of a coordinated strategy. Collectively, however, they reveal a striking pattern. Almost every major geopolitical shift since 2020 has reduced the Islamic Republic's regional freedom of action. This transformation extends beyond diplomacy. For decades, Iran relied on a strategy of forward defense, using allied armed groups to keep conflicts away from its own borders. Today, that very network appears to have become the primary target of regional pressure. The direct Israel-Iran confrontation marked another turning point. After decades of proxy warfare, Iran itself became a direct military actor. Subsequent US involvement reinforced the perception that Iran is no longer viewed primarily through the lens of its nuclear program, but increasingly as part of Washington's broader national security strategy. At the same time, an economic contest is reshaping the region. Projects such as the India-Middle East-Europe Corridor, IMEC, Iraq's Development Road, and new South Caucasus transport routes could reduce Iran's traditional role as a strategic transit hub. In today's world, ports, railways, and supply chains are becoming as important to geopolitical influence as missiles and military bases. The growing US military presence should also be understood in this context. Reinforced naval deployments, the USS Boxer amphibious group, and A-10 aircraft stationed in Jordan do not necessarily indicate that another war is imminent. They do, however, demonstrate Washington's determination to preserve a broad range of military options. Political signals point in the same direction. Mohammed Bagher Khalibaf recently declared that the Islamic Republic would never make peace with the United States or recognize Israel, while Donald Trump has increasingly framed Iran as a direct US national security challenge. As long as both sides continue to define their relationship in fundamentally adversarial terms, a lasting strategic rapprochement appears unlikely. This article does not argue that every development is part of a coordinated strategy. It argues something more modest, but equally significant. Since 2020, the cumulative effect of diplomatic, military, economic, and geopolitical developments has been a gradual reduction of Iran's regional influence. History will determine whether these years were merely a series of overlapping crises or the beginning of a new regional order. But it may ultimately remember not any single war or agreement, but the gradual shift in the Middle East's balance of power. A transformation whose significance only becomes clear when all the pieces are viewed together. Mahmoud Ashkanian, neuropsychiatrist, PhD.